Hello, guys. We are here with your favorite Jiu-Jitsu podcast, BJJ World Champion Conversations, starting right now.
Today we have a super special guest, a white belt with 2 years of training, PANAMS champion, nightlife entrepreneur, and an amazing friend, Mio Danilovic. Great to have you here with us today, brother.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you, guys.
Mio, what brought you to Jiu-Jitsu?
Well, you know, I always wanted to train Jiu-Jitsu. When I first saw Jiu-Jitsu at the first UFC, for example, and I never quite got the courage to start training.
Why you don't got this courage, Mio?
Well, I was always sort of a leader in whatever I did, and I was always trying to set an example for my friends as a young guy, or when I started working for my coworkers, and I always tried to be in charge.
Right.
And I was worried to come try something where I knew I would be the worst at it.
Right.
And I didn't want to put myself in that situation. It was very immature, I guess, at the time. But yeah, I always thought, oh man, it would be so cool, but I never had the courage to start.
But you already did, besides Jiu-Jitsu, then you thought about to do and you want to do, but you don't have the courage. You did another sports in your life?
Yeah. I trained my whole life. I mean, as a young child, I played tennis, and I actually started playing tennis professionally when I was 15 years old. But I blew out my knee and couldn't continue. So my career ended early. But I then I picked up boxing and some kickboxing, and I kept training.
How many years of training you had on this?
I would say a total of 10 years.
10 years?
Like
Boxing,
that.
kickboxing?
Yeah.
Consistent?
Yeah, I would do breaks in between, because I would travel a lot. I would move from, for example, in the U.S., I would move from one coast to the next, and I wouldn't always keep up with the training. I would just keep working and then start over.
And you started box here in U.S. or you started in your where are you from?
I'm from Montenegro. But I grew up in Sweden. And I started boxing over there with my cousins and
in Sweden.
In Sweden, yeah, with my cousins, my friends, just to learn and be able to fight.
Right.
Then when I moved to the U.S., I started working as a bouncer in many nightclubs. Obviously, it was important to know how to punch.
For sure.
Back then, it was a little bit more violent than what you see right now. Obviously, that's a good thing that it's not so violent anymore. But I always needed to know how to fight. I always needed to know how to defend myself, and so I would always train.
Nice.
But jiu-jitsu was always there, but I never took the opportunity to start. And I even had great friends that now when I think back, I'm like, oh my God, that guy was a world champion, or that guy was, an amazing jiu-jitsu fighter. And I should have just taken the opportunity.
Yeah,
but,
for sure.
But
you never know.
You never know.
Yeah, it's hard. On the moment, it's hard to say, oh, I'm gonna do this. And
exactly.
Really, really hard.
And again, it was almost like I didn't want to be embarrassed. I didn't want to go and, oh man, you suck at this,
I know.
And that was kind of what held me back. So I was actually in the neighborhood here by Fight Sports. I was with a couple of friends and my business partner. We were looking at a property to maybe do something here. And the guy that was showing us the neighborhood, he said, oh, by the way, we have a gym here. It's called Fight Sports. So we walked in through the side door over there. And I said, wow. And I saw Cyborg. I remember Baby Monster was here and a couple other people on the mats.
Was during the day or at night?
During the day. During the day. It was after training. So everybody was kind of tired and had very serious faces. When we walked in, I remember Cyborg looking at us like, who are these guys, And I think my partner stepped on the mat with his shoes.
Oh my God.
Did you make him pay push-ups?
No, he didn't. But I told him, hey, get off the mat, man. Look at these guys. They're going to kill us. So we walked in, we looked around, and when we left, I told my partner, I said, man, I'm going to start training here. And he goes, no, man. I said, no, I'm going to start training. He goes, okay, maybe I'll come with you. I said, all right. So I waited for him for about a month.
Right.
And I realized, okay, he's not going to do it. So I got in my car, I drove here, and I signed up right then and there. I signed up with Vitor. And
Vitor.
yeah.
So, so your friend he never stepped on the mat.
Never stepped on the mat.
Oh, you gotta call him out now.
Now he's looking at me, competing and winning medals and training really hard, and he's like, "Whoa, man, great job." I wish I would have jumped in.
Well, it's not too late.
Never too late.
Never too late.
Yeah. So I'm trying to get people here from my work to come train. I actually got a couple of people here already.
Nice.
It's cool. Little by little, we'll get more.
No, jiu-jitsu is important. Jiu-jitsu is good to self-defense. Even like if you work on the nightclub, it's important to know how to punch, but it's important how you deal maybe if the guy's bigger than you or something like that.
It's probably more important than knowing how to punch, because the goal shouldn't be to knock somebody out.
Exactly.
The goal is to diffuse the situation and not hurt somebody.
Exactly. You can take the people out of where you don't want them to be and without injury then.
Exactly.
It's great. And Mio, you said you born in Montenegro and you grow up in Sweden. When you came to US and why you came to US?
You have a super interesting story. Because first of all, Andrés, you started jiu-jitsu when you were what?
I was 13 years old.
13 years old. Mio, you started when you were?
Wow, I was 40.
40 years old. So to me, it's super
41.
super interesting to see how, like all walks of life.
Exactly.
Literally, Anthony Bourdain used to say that one of the best things about jiu-jitsu is that it gave you the ability to be humble when you are used to success, when you are used to being a leader, the top dog in a room, right? Because when you're a white belt, doesn't matter if you're a CEO, if you're a millionaire, if you're 50, it doesn't matter if you're the boss in everything else in your life. On the mat, you're going to be a newbie, right? And that's kind of what you were talking about right now.
Exactly.
We know you have a super interesting story. Take us a little bit through your story. Like, where are you from? How'd you grow up? We're talking behind the scenes here, some super cool stories about you working since you were very young. Like, we want to discover a little bit about who you are as a person also.
Absolutely. So, as I was playing tennis, school wasn't on my priority list. I started very late playing tennis, but I wanted to catch up with everybody. So I would stay and train twice as long than everybody else. I would run twice as far. I would just do double the work.
You just born with this desire.
I wanted to be better. I wanted to be the best. So I looked at these guys that were my age, how much better they were, and I said, you know what? No, I need to do double the work to reach that level.
How old was you there?
I was 12,
And already
13.
with this mindset.
Yeah. But also, I think tennis. Successful tennis players typically they start at 4 or 5 years old. So when I was playing with kids at 12, they were so much better than me, and I just needed to catch up. Right. So I had that inside me, and I would train extra hard, which probably was the reason why my body couldn't keep up and my knee would end up giving out so early.
Right.
But it's okay. It gave me some travel. I met a lot of cool people, and then it was just okay. Now it's time to work. I was a young guy, and I needed to make a living. So,
for sure.
Fortunately, my father, he had a restaurant, which it's great, but it's also very tough because in our culture,
What type of food?
it's the restaurant was called Montenegro,
Montenegro.
and it was in Stockholm, and the food was from Montenegro.
Great.
So Mediterranean food, and it was hard work. There was we got nothing handed to us. It was.
And so you stopped tennis to start work.
Yeah,
After
exactly.
you injured. And how old was you when you start work?
I was 16, 17. Yeah.
You started working full time.
Yeah, that's it. I was done with sports, and I just.
What about school? Also,
I was done with school too.
So you at a very early
dropped out,
age,
yeah.
you drop out of school,
Dropped
you
out of
start
school.
working.
Yeah.
And how was that experience?
It was good. It was great.
That was the seed to what you are doing right now. I had no idea that there was such a rich story behind the Mio that we know right now, right?
Exactly. Yeah, it was. I always had a dream as a young kid, like, I wanted to own a nightclub for some reason. That was like a thing. And I told my dad. My dad was preparing to retire, and I said, okay, you're gonna retire, because he said, okay, I'm gonna retire. I'm gonna leave this restaurant for you. This will be yours. And I said, that's cool, but I will sell it and I'm going to open a nightclub.
And you told him that?
Yeah. He goes, no, you can't do that. I said, that's what I'm going to do, you know? And he said, you can't do that. You know, it's not smart. I said, oh, that's what I want to do. My father was, my parents both, are very, very hardworking people. You know, they had their restaurant for 30 years and did very well for themselves. So, but that was always a sort of a dream of mine. And then one day I woke up, I was around 21. I was ready to take over the business. I was very good at it. But my dad was ready to retire. But I woke up one day, I said, man, I missed my young days. I missed my childhood, my childhood, my teenage years. I didn't enjoy my friends the way everybody else did.
Because you was working.
I was always working, you know. And I wanted to change that. So the opportunity that I found was, hey, I'll go to college and study for 4 years and enjoy my life.
Right.
I can always work, you know. So it's almost like taking a break and kind of trying to relive the youth a little bit. So I had this motivation to really go to school. And where else than the U.S.? You know, it was the best. So I wanted to go to the U.S. I actually went to a huge seminar where they had a bunch of universities from all over the world. And they had like these little stands. And I saw the skyline of New York. And I was like, oh, that's it. That's where I'm going to go. You know, so I got some phone numbers, called the school, and I had to go through some tests to get accepted.
And this was your first time in U.S.?
No, it wasn't the first time in the U.S. I traveled here. I actually traveled to compete here in tennis. But
New York too, no?
No, that was my first time in New York.
Nice.
And all I knew about New York was what you see in the movies. You know, I had no idea what it was. And I traveled there. They presented me with all these tests, which I passed, and they accepted me in the school. So that was pretty awesome.
So in New York, you do your first years of college, and you're working as a bouncer also?
That's right.
And
that's right.
Is that like the first step into one day owning your own nightclub?
I always wanted that anyway. That was always in me. I knew I wanted to do that. But, you know, it's tough. New country, new city. So I had to start somewhere. And that's why I started working as a bouncer.
And like you told me before, when we was talking behind the scenes, after you went to California and you saw like, oh, this looks more like where I want to be.
I didn't spend that much time in New York initially. I went there, and it was cool. It was great, actually. It was very cool, but very cold.
Very cold.
And I try to get away from the cold.
In Montenegro is cold?
No.
Montenegro
is not cold. And Sweden is cold. Mm-hmm. So I want to get away from that.
Right.
So I traveled to California to visit my friends, and it was in the middle of winter.
Right.
And I noticed this amazing climate. So I said, you know what? This is much better for me. Mm-hmm. I'd rather come here. And we're actually driving around in Malibu, me and my friend. And we passed what I thought was a huge golf club, for example. And I said, man, that's one of the most amazing properties I've seen. Let's go check it out. Right. So we pull up, and it's this university called Pepperdine University, a very
famous.
Yeah,
beautiful.
And we went in, and I fell in love. I said, wow, this is the most amazing university there is. This is where I need to go to school, not New York. And my friend was like, oh, man, you're crazy. You have to pass so many tests, and you have to get amazing grades to be able to get accepted here. So I met with the international dean, and he said...
On the same day?
On the same day, yeah. I went, I found his office, I knocked on the door. It was a very cool guy. We got along great. And he gave me a path of what I needed to complete in order to be accepted in the school, and which grades I needed to accomplish. So he told me to go to Santa Monica College, which I did. And I completed all of the tasks that he told me and all the classes, and got the great grades. So he accepted me.
And what do you study there?
I studied international business.
International
business, and graduated with 3.6 GPA. That's not bad.
Not bad. Not bad.
And I did extra courses to do it faster because school was kind of easy for me.
And you was also doing school and work on the same time.
Absolutely, yeah. I had to support myself, so I was working in nightclubs there too. And then when I graduated school, the job market was kind of tough. So I actually ended up moving back to New York because I wanted to try the big city again, with a degree this time.
Right.
And unfortunately, I couldn't get a job with my degree. It didn't matter. You go into interviews and people are like, okay, I have no experience, see you later. So I couldn't get a foot in the door, and I didn't have a wide enough network to get myself a chance. So I continued in the nightclubs, and I stayed there for about another year. Then I ended up moving back to California. So when you move from coast to coast here in the U.S., you essentially start from zero again.
Yeah.
Whatever you have, you start over. And that's what I did a few times, which, I guess that makes you stronger.
And this time you always was living by yourself, or was with some friends?
Yeah, no, by myself.
Always by yourself.
Girlfriend, but I didn't like roommates. I like to live by myself.
To just focus on your stuff.
Yeah. So I was a very serious guy, so I didn't ever.
I had no idea that this part of your story. We've been friends for a while, and most of us know about the success you've achieved nowadays, right? We've seen everything that you've done in the past, especially in the past 2 years, which has been amazing. Everybody knows you now. Like, you have, well, friends like all over the United States, celebrities, fighters. A lot of people really appreciate and love you, and know your story.
Another day I went to Joya Beach Club, and on my side was sitting Floyd Mayweather, and on the other side, James Fox. I'm like, oh my God, what is this?
That's right.
But that's super cool, because just like in Jiu-Jitsu, right? Like, the journey towards getting your black belt, it's full of setbacks and moments where you really just never want to train again. You don't want to keep going. And now I learned that a lot of your life has been overcoming these obstacles, right? Setting yourself, like, shooting for the stars and then just going for it. When did it change? When did it change for you? When did that started happening? What was the process towards getting to where you are right now?
Well,
and what have you also accomplished now?
I don't know if it ever changes, to be honest with you. The setbacks keep coming. No matter, it's just a different level of setbacks, I should say. But they keep coming. It doesn't end. So I'll give you an example. When I moved back to California from New York, a friend of mine started a new company, and he's going to open a bunch of nightclubs and restaurants and hotels. That was his dream. And I said, you know what? I'm going to work for him, and I'm going to learn the business. And then in a few years, I'm going to ask him to partner up with me and do my own place. That was kind of my goal. And this little club that I started working at as a bouncer still, this grew into a huge international company called SBE. And they opened a bunch of hotels and restaurants and nightclubs throughout the country and throughout the world. And I ended up staying with that company for 12 years and becoming the vice president of nightlife for the company. I became a partner in the company. And it was an amazing experience, because I went from just a nightclub bouncer to an entrepreneur, I would say, in that process. And I learned a lot without risking my own money. But I worked a lot, and I learned a lot. So one day I woke up and I said, okay, that's it. This company has been great to me, and I've done great results, but it's time for me to move on. It lost the family feel that we had when it was small, because it became so big. So all of a sudden you're talking to bankers and people that you don't know, and they're hammering you on items that they don't know about. So I didn't enjoy it anymore. And when you don't enjoy something, it's very hard to dedicate yourself. And I felt, man, I work 7 days a week, and I don't like it anymore. So what's the point? And I said, you know what? I resigned. And I decided I'm going to start my own. I didn't know what I was going to do, actually. I just knew I wanted to live in Miami for some reason.
Why?
I don't know.
Why Miami?
I don't know.
I was always just come to your
I was traveling here. I was traveling here for work. And I was traveling here on these amazing times, Winter Music Conference.
Yeah.
And I looked around and I said, man, this place is magical. It's amazing. Yeah. And I've never seen this anywhere else in the world. So I said, when I resigned, that's where I want to move. and I was able to carve out Miami in my non-compete clause with the company when we were negotiating the terms.
That was smart.
And how long ago you moved here, Omio?
6 years ago.
6 years
So
ago.
this was merely 6 years ago.
Yeah. So I left the company and I moved to Miami, and I had no idea what I was going to do. I sold my house, so I made a little bit of money, and I said, you know what, we'll see.
Were you married? Were you single?
No, I was single.
Single
yeah.
Single time.
I was single, and so I moved here and started looking around and said, okay, let's see what the future holds. And I met my business partner, Chris Pacello. I don't know if you know.
Yeah.
And,
Legend here in Miami.
Absolutely, absolutely. Not just in Miami. That guy has a wider network than anybody I've met. He's
Everywhere.
amazing.
Everywhere. In the 90s, he basically built the Miami nightlife.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Amazing, yeah.
So he had just started a new fitness brand called Anatomy. And it's this high-end fitness facilities. And so I was working out there because I figured, you'll meet good people here.
Yeah, for sure.
And I was working out with him. We were friends for a long time before. We met in LA a long time ago. And we're talking, I'm not sure what I'm going to do. And I said, I want to open a nightclub. And he said, I'm going to open a nightclub. And he was going to open a nightclub with One Oak, the guys from New York. And I said, man, let's just me and you open a nightclub together and we'll start our own brand.
Because you always want that too?
I always wanted it, and he was a great guy and a great friend. So he's like, okay, let's do it. He had already signed a lease, actually, where Rockwell was. He had already signed the lease. So he was...
That's the birth of Rockwell.
Exactly. He was going to do it regardless. Wow. And but he was going to do it with someone else. So I jumped in. And we changed our plans. I put a little bit of money that I had in the project, and
that was the
we
beginning.
Opened Rockwell. Yeah,
that was the beginning of Rockwell.
And how was in the beginning? It was very hard.
No, it was amazing right off from the start. It was these guys that I told you about, the One Oak guys. They're One Oak is one of the most famous nightclubs in the world, actually.
Right.
And what we did a Art Basel party with One Oak when we launched the venue. And that pretty much set us on a map and exposed the place to a lot of great people at the right time. And we were the only ones playing hip-hop in a high-end nightclub at that time in Miami.
You had the best shows, I remember.
Yeah.
The best artists
Best.
and all that.
And nobody else was doing it at the time. So we set ourselves apart from everybody else, and it was a smash hit right from the get-go. We surpassed our expectations in every aspect. So
Cyborg had to prohibit the competition team from visiting.
That's right.
Only once a month, because they liked it too much.
Yeah, you were there.
The first time that I came to Miami to meet the guys here, we went there, and man,
I remember.
it was a blast.
I remember that day.
It's a special place, man. Maggie and Cyborg's engagement party was there.
That's
after
right.
the gala. We had an amazing night with the team there.
That's
Super
right.
cool
That was
place.
amazing.
And
was
then the pandemic hit, right?
Then the pandemic hit, and with the pandemic, as every other business, we start suffering. Of course, we had to close, and nightclubs were not even on the conversation like restaurants or gyms or anything else. The nightclubs were not going to open for who knows how long. And rent kept growing, our expenses kept going up. So we had an opportunity where a friend of ours came to us and said, you know what, I want to buy the nightclub. And we jumped on it. We sold it to him.
And all the time you already had the Joya Beach Club as well?
We were already building Joya Beach Club, but we didn't finish it yet.
But the plan of you guys was stay with the Rockwell and the Joya Beach Club?
Yeah, exactly. We were never planning on selling Rockwell, but it just came at the circumstances called for it, so we sold it. And at the same time, as that happened, we were able to open Joya.
And how was that experience? Because that was another special place for everybody in Miami, right?
Very
it was
special.
the only place that was open, like the first place to open
only
during the pandemic.
The only
after
place.
Pandemic.
It was incredible.
It was incredible.
It was. We truly created an amazing place there. We were approached by the landlords, and they said, "Hey, look at this piece of property that we have. Can you do something with it?" And we said, "Absolutely. We have a vision. We can do it." So me and Chris, we sat down. We designed this place. and developed the concept.
I saw a picture of the day that you guys were there when there was nothing there.
Yes,
You posted it
I
the other
remember
day. It
that.
was just a palapa.
That was we built the palapa too.
You built the palapa
it was,
too.
It wasn't
nothing
even the palapa there. It was absolutely nothing. Just some dirt basically on the water. They had a bouncy castle in the water where they would let kids go for many years because it's part of Jungle Island.
Yes,
the park. And so, when you have a vision and you know it and you believe it, not everybody else can see it the same way. So
for sure.
we felt it, we knew it, but then nobody else did, and nobody expected the results to be the way.
Especially at the time.
Yeah, at the time.
And you guys already thought on the moment, like to do like a little beach with the restaurants on the side.
Oh yeah,
a little bit of night
everything.
life.
Yeah, everything was exactly the way we pictured it. The tender bringing you in from your yacht, the lounge area to the right where we would create a little bit of a party, the restaurant area to the left where the high-end food would come out. So it was a very challenging place to open because everything had to be portable. You can't build on the sand. Let's say there's a hurricane, you got to be able to remove everything, except for the palapa. That one can stay. So the kitchens, the bar, everything was made portable with no plumbing. So when you have those type of challenges, it's much harder than having a brick and mortar building.
The place was beautiful, wildly successful. Everybody had a lot of fun there. But then I also know that a big component to your success is the team that you surround yourself with. From people like your business partner to everybody else on your team. So that was a huge team effort, right?
It was absolutely. So in order to be successful, everything needs to work. You need to have great quality food. You need to have great service. You have to have a beautiful venue and this vibe that's special, that sets you apart from any other place. And not one person can create all of that. So we attracted an amazing team. We went out and found them. We found the chef. We found the marketing people. We found the operators. We found all these great people. And our dear friend Marco he used to live in LA. He was a Miami guy too.
I know.
It was biggest network in Miami.
Yeah, that's where I got to see the old generation of promoters with your business partner and the younger generation, Marco, getting together and bringing all the crowds from Miami to this
You're
place.
right.
I think that's what made it special as well.
It absolutely did. Because you had the who's who of Miami. So we kind of ended up in a perfect storm. Yes, there was a pandemic and there were restrictions, but we were 100% outdoors. So we were the only place that could really open.
Right.
And we were exposed to everybody in Miami right off the bat. And we didn't have to go and beg people to come because they wanted to go to a restaurant. Right. They just had nowhere to go. So they would come to us. So we were able to we were able to expose the place to the best people of Miami, and we just made sure we kept the energy great, the food quality great, and the people around us great. So that's
Lovato got married there also?
Lovato got married there, yes. Yeah, absolutely. I met Lovato when he was fighting Cyborg here.
In the Superstars.
Yeah.
Because they had the after party.
At Rockwell.
Yeah, I went there. It was cool.
So Cyborg introduced me to Lovato, and we hung out a little bit at Rockwell, and we were just doing Friends and Family at Joya at the time. And we were about to launch. But so I said, hey, why don't you and your fiance come and try the restaurant? Let's see if you like it. So he came, and we made a connection and kept in touch. So, he came back to Miami a few times, came to the restaurant, we hung out, we had dinner, and he said, you know what? I think we'd like to get married here. I said, okay, awesome. That's a beautiful idea. Let's make it happen.
And what an athlete is Lovato, like amazing no gi, amazing the gi, MMA 10-0, won the Bellator title. Just had to retire because he had some brain problems.
He had some issues,
What athlete, really, really, really complex.
Amazing athlete.
Most decorated American Jiu-Jitsu athlete, right?
Yeah. And I think the second American to be a BJJ Black Belt World Champion. The first one was BJ Penn in 2002 and Lovato in 2007.
Oh, wow.
But the second American in the Jiu-Jitsu history to be a World Champion as a Black Belt.
A real legend. And honestly, besides that, just an amazing guy. Yeah. And, you can sit and talk to him for hours. He's a very, very friendly guy. And with a beautiful wife. She's amazing too. Yeah. So yeah, man, we had we have a great relationship.
So going back to your story a little bit, you come back, you decide to come to Miami. You're single at the time. Mm-hmm. I know you're married now with your second baby on the way.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you about that. How did that come about, that part of your life? And the other thing is, as a nightlife entrepreneur, usually we see that anybody in your position is usually single, you know? They don't necessarily train the way that you train. So how do you balance the nightlife with having such a beautiful family and such like a calm life in your family aspect and train so hard as well?
Yeah, and also because Mio is always in great shape. Mio is always like looks good. Like how you deal with that, like having to be awake at nights normally, and also have to train, to lift, and to do jiu-jitsu to keep you a health lifestyle.
Because one of the worst things for an athlete is not to be able to sleep well.
Yeah.
And I would see you sometimes late at the club running everything, and then the next day here you were in class at 6:30 in the morning.
Right.
I was like, what is wrong with
The Superman.
Yeah, it was. It is hard. It's probably one of the hardest things is the no sleeping. And listen, when you own a nightclub, you're drinking a lot too, because you're doing shots with everybody and toasting, and that doesn't make anything easier, you know. And I've done that for a very long time, where I would party, so to speak, at night, even though when I'm working, but you need to be the life of the party. And the next day I would wake up and go to the gym and lift weights or run or do whatever. So I always had that. That was my way of resetting the next day, was to sweat it out and to be active. Otherwise it's a downward spiral, you know, and you'll never catch up. Yeah. So I always had that, and you know, being single, having a nightclub, you know, it's great. But I've done it for such a long time. Maybe not owning a nightclub, but being in the nightclub, that I needed a change. Right. And I met my wife. I met her in a nightclub. I actually met her at Wall nightclub. Yeah, and we clicked. And I knew right away. I said, no, I'm gonna marry this girl. That's it. Yeah, I didn't hesitate. I knew right away. Right. And
this was how long ago?
This was 5 years ago.
5 years ago.
Fast forward to now.
Now, I'm as happy as can be. An amazing woman by my side. I have a beautiful son and a daughter on the way, you know, a couple of weeks away.
That's incredible.
So, yeah, it's awesome.
That's amazing.
But I did stop drinking when I met her.
Nice.
That changed a lot.
So right now you don't drink anymore?
I don't drink anymore.
So you evolved. Now you literally just work.
Yep.
Still take care of the business, but that's how you're able to balance.
It makes it easier.
It makes
it easier. And, you know, right now, the worst thing that can happen to me when I wake up is I could be a little tired. Yeah. You know, you drink a coffee, you wake up, and you go. Before, you wake up, you have a hangover, you have a headache, you don't feel good. So I didn't want that anymore. And also, you know, when you drink, you make dumb decisions. Yeah. So I respect my wife so much that I decided, you know what, I'm not gonna keep drinking and behaving like a young guy. Because I respect her, so I didn't want to disrespect her by doing something silly, and that's why I stopped drinking.
And Mio, tell us more about your jiu-jitsu journey too. You won PANAMS last year.
Yeah,
and
that was my first tournament.
Your first tournament, yeah. And this last weekend you went to American Nationals. You also had good fights there. You got second place.
Second place. Yes.
Second place. Tell us more about this. How it's to compete? What's the mindset that you had before the fight? You got nervous? How was that?
I absolutely got nervous. It was. When I started training, you know, everybody told me, oh, one day you're going to compete. I was like, oh, man, come on, I'm an old man. You know, I can't. What am I going to do? But then they explained to me, oh, you can compete with people at your level and your age. And I said, okay, awesome. So I competed in the PANAMS.
How long you used to train before you competed at PANAMS?
I trained, I would say a year.
A year.
I would say.
Nice.
Yeah, maybe a little less. And I went to the PANAMS actually injured. I had a disc herniation in my back. And you know, but I said, you know what? I want to feel the adrenaline, right. And I did, and it was awesome. I felt like a young kid again. nervous and sweating and oh my God, just feeling the
pressure.
I
saw you there. I spoke with you there. I remember you was very nervous.
Nervous. And
you almost killed an opponent.
but it's a pressure that you put on yourself because I'm used to competing. I'm used to achieving, things. So
like you have more pressure on a regular day than technically in a competition. But I saw you there, and you were nervous.
I was
nervous.
Like,
what has jiu-jitsu or your journey in jiu-jitsu? How has it made you better in your professional life and in your personal life?
I think it's had a big impact. The number one thing that it did right off the bat was make you very humble and understand that, okay, you are, whatever you thought you are, you're not. In every aspect. Not just, oh, you're a tough guy. Yeah, you're a tough guy, but this skinny little guy is going to choke you out in 2 seconds. It doesn't matter. He can be a young kid and he'll beat you, So that's number one. And then number two, you thought you were in some sort of a good shape, but then when you actually put your hands on somebody else and you're starting to roll and fight, if you will, you realize how quickly you gas out and how you need to build your fitness level at the same time and your breathing at the same time. And, there's that saying to be comfortable in uncomfortable situations. And that really translates to life, I think. I've reached a point, look, I was like everybody else. You get angry, you get nervous, you get stressed out, you yell, you scream, your heart rate goes up, and, the pressures of life, of business, of life, of anything can happen,
Anything.
And it's how you deal with it. And at this point of my life, I've reached I'm very calm. Like, I don't get emotional. I don't make irrational decisions. I don't make emotional decisions. I try to take the time and think and breathe and just deal with it in the most rational way I can. And that's very similar to the sport of jiu-jitsu, I would say. Because if you are panicking and you're trying to get out of a move or trying to attack somebody too fast without taking your time and doing properly, you're gonna lose. And the same thing is in life. Yeah.
A lot of the times, I think of that, right? And another question I wanted to ask was, what type of a jiu-jitsu player are you? Like, what's your game? How's it evolved? What are you doing right now? Also, because I know you're not only training jiu-jitsu, you recently started doing Champion Fit.
Absolutely.
So
I need to. I felt the weakness in my strengths. I felt my weaknesses, I should say, when I started training jiu-jitsu. I felt certain movements are very hard for me, and I felt that certain muscles I'm not twitching fast enough, and so I approached Maggie, and she put me on a great program. And I've been training with her very hard, actually, to get myself in a place where both I'm more fit, strong, and better mobility. So,
and Mio, you think you have a downside in jiu-jitsu?
Yes. I think there's something that everybody did warn me about, but being the type of guy I am, I didn't really listen to it, and that is you have to take your time and listen to your body and understand what you're trying to achieve slower than what I was doing. I jumped right in and I said, you know what? I'm a tough guy. I don't care. I'll just go and I'll fight harder. And I ended up injuring my back.
Right.
I got a disc herniation, but I never had back problems.
And you
before.
took 6 months out, right?
6 months, yeah.
6 months.
6 months where I couldn't really train or do anything. I couldn't lift weights. I couldn't run. I couldn't train. So I took it easy, and but I'm all healed up now. I did a bunch of rehab, and I'm careful. I have a routine every morning that I need to go through in order to feel good throughout the day. But that would be the downside, and it's preventable if you're listening to people around you, and if you're listening to your body.
Yeah, for sure.
Because for example, I felt some pain, but I said, who cares about the pain? Let's go, you know? And because that's always how I've been. And but at this age, it's gonna catch up to you.
And now that you're training a lot, training champion fit, training jiu-jitsu, consistent, what's your next goals about competition? Maybe World Master in the end of the year?
Once I reach my blue belt, my next goal is to get blue belt. That's what I have as a goal. You know, and I know you're not supposed to talk about that. You're not supposed to say, hey, when am I gonna, you know? So I don't really talk about it too much, but I am training for it, and I feel I'm trying to get ready for it. So
you're ready to test?
I would be ready right now to test. Yes.
Have you been using BJJ World Champion?
I have, absolutely. I love it.
Yeah. What can you tell us about that?
Well, it breaks everything down so easily. You know, you can actually sit at home and you study all the moves, and it's almost like you're doing them. I don't know how to explain it. Like you can visualize it and replay it and do it again and slow it down and stop. And then you're like, man, I know this move. And then you go and try it, and okay, you practice a couple of times and you get it. So it's a huge tool for me. I actually have the paper printed in my bag, and you know, I go and I.
It's so amazing. It's so amazing. Because when I started jiu-jitsu, we don't used to have like BJJ Fanatics or things like BJJ World Champion. So to study jiu-jitsu, you had to like watch YouTube or like read the Grace magazines. I have more than 200 Grace magazines in my house.
Oh my
Grace
God.
Magazine,
and you just flip through and try to find. Oh,
yeah,
man.
but it's cool because you learn a lot about the history of jiu-jitsu, you know?
Of course.
And on the end of every single Grace magazine have a page, then just talk about like the story of the jiu-jitsu. So like little things, then like 2006 Alberto Gordo Correia created the half guard because he was competing in Brazilian nationals and he injured his knee, and he had to go to compete worlds, but he was with one knee injury, so he was not able to do the full guard, so he had to do a guard in just one of the legs, so he protects his knee.
That's
so
how it
like
started?
that
That's
create the
That's a real story?
Yeah,
Wow, that's crazy.
The Roberto Gordo Correia.
An encyclopedia of jiu-jitsu, you know?
And he has, because I used to read so much Grace Magazine, the Time Magazine, and watching YouTube. I'm really a nerd about jiu-jitsu. I'm really a nerd. Like,
That's
I'm
good.
Addicted.
Yeah.
That's incredible because not a lot of people know that. Like I had no idea, you know. And like we practice the sport, but we don't pay as much homage as necessary because the story is so rich.
So rich.
You know? And I love to hear about everybody's story because the story of jiu-jitsu is also your story, Mio, in jiu-jitsu, Andrés' story, mine, everybody. So
Everybody's story.
I just think it's such a beautiful sport that connects us all together.
You should.
It creates a community. It creates a community that I honestly didn't think existed.
Well, you are like the nightlife business. You talked about the vibe, right? We have a very special vibe here that Cyborg and the rest of our teammates have created here in fight sports. Do you find something similar in both places?
I do, because I try to lead with very similar values that Cyborg leads his team, and I recognize it because I treat all of my people with respect. I treat them as family. I'm loyal to them. They're loyal to me. I might be a fun, easygoing guy, but I'm very demanding at the same time. And I expect the best out of everybody, my team. So I feel that this is a different industry, but it's the same in a way. And it's about how you treat others and how you lead. And that those are the type of people that you're going to attract around you. If I am kicking and screaming and yelling and acting like a boss versus a leader, guess what? I'm not going to have all these great people around me. They're not going to stay.
Were you always a leader, or did you have to transition from being that boss that sometimes yelled, etc., into a leader? Because a lot of us experience that.
I did. Not necessarily in life, because I was always sort of the same. But when I used to work for this big company, they demanded from me to be a boss more so than a leader. And I became that. And I didn't like it. It was effective, don't get me wrong. In a big corporation, it's effective. But to a certain degree. To reach the next level, it's not. And but also I didn't like it. And then
but not you.
It's not me, and the people around you are not gonna be loyal to you. They're not gonna go above and beyond for you. They're gonna do it because you tell them they have to do it, but not gonna do it because they want to do it.
Because one of the things I saw at Joya Beach is that people wanted to work there.
Yeah.
Like they wanted to work there.
Yeah.
I think I sent you some people that were interested, and you ended up.
No, I almost did work there. I spoke with Mio one night, and he gave me the opportunity to work there. But after another opportunity came with Jiujitsu and all that,
right.
But I almost went there to work as well.
There's a few people still working there from fight sports.
Yeah, I know. But the curious thing is talking about loyalty, right? Well, I'll let you tell the story about how you guys move forward from Joya Beach Club. But one of the curious things is that the people working there, they were the saddest to see you guys leave.
Yeah.
You know, because you took, you know, the family vibe, the leading by example and all of that kind of went out the door with you guys. What happened there? A lot of people are curious about that.
It's one of those situations that's very difficult to understand. You don't understand why, because the place was so incredibly successful, and we surpassed everybody's expectations. The landlords were making more money than they ever thought they would, and we were producing results much higher than what anybody thought we would. And we knew what we were going to do because we saw the vision. We understood it right away, but everybody else involved didn't. And they thought, okay, they'll do okay, and everybody will be happy. But when you create something like lightning in a bottle, and our deal was for 10 years with the landlords, so they sat back and looked, whoa, this place is amazing. We're doing great. So why don't we just buy these guys out now?
Why do we need them?
Yeah, we don't need them because let's get them out now.
Once it's been done, everybody thinks
I can do this.
They can do it.
Yeah. And they would, people would come and they would see me and my partner, me and my partner, sit down at a table and hang out and have a meal and talk and they would think, man, these guys aren't doing anything.
Yeah.
But that's not how it works. We not only did we build the foundation, not only did we bring this amazing team that are, they're so excited to work for us, with us, I call it. I don't say for us, and I pay attention to every detail. Doesn't matter if I'm running around. I don't need to be running around stressed out to show to you that I'm working. I can have a conversation with you and know exactly what's going on in the restaurant or in the lounge or whatever. So, to the untrained eye, if you will, it might seem like, oh man, these guys, they don't even do anything. So this business is running on its own. Let's just get them out, because over 10 years we saved so much money because we were making a lot of money.
Right. Yeah, of course.
And they felt it's all about the location. It's all about this beautiful place. We'll just keep it the same and get them out. And that was sad. That was sad. They decided to buy us out. And at the same time, we debated, okay, should we pull the name? Because the name was ours. Yeah. We'll pull the name and we will open it somewhere else maybe. But then we said, you know what? Let's just go ahead and sell the name too, because we didn't have a second location right now. And what good is a name sitting around for a year or 2 years? Not good for anything. So we decided to sell it, which I think was the right choice.
Of course.
And it was a very difficult. The last meeting that we did with the staff was very difficult and emotional for me. I'm not typically emotional, but I got emotional talking to the team because I saw them. A lot of people started crying, and a lot of people were like, they just couldn't believe it because it was perfect. Such an amazing place.
Yes,
and it would have been
10 years of amazing.
For 10 years, if not longer, an amazing place, and we were just scratching the surface, in my opinion. We were just starting, because we got out of a pandemic. We were restricted in the beginning. Yeah. Imagine next year when you don't have those restrictions, and you could put 1,000 people there and not have to worry about social distancing and whatnot. So we were just scratching the surface, figuring things out. yet we were doing amazing. And that was one of the that was the toughest meeting for this entire Joya experience, was talking to the staff, announcing that, okay, we're leaving.
And what's the next step, Mio, for you?
Well, it's funny how things sort of happen one after another.
One door closes,
another one opens, you know. But I'm also we've always been sort of having things in the works. Mm-hmm. You know, you never sit back and just, okay, I have this one place or this one business and let me just focus on that. It's good. I do focus on that, but I'm always working on a ton of other things.
Me and my business partners always have a conversation along those lines, right? Alex is sitting here next to me, and we always debate on going all in on one good thing and trying to give your all on that one good thing, maybe in the way that a lot of athletes do, you know, with their careers. But then you have the entrepreneurial spirit that entrepreneurs share, where you can't just put all your eggs on one thing. We don't know if we debate whether if it's right, if it's wrong, what's the right approach. What can you say about that? Is there a balance? Is there a formula?
I can tell you some examples. And take Rockwell. Hey, super successful, but we were constantly looking what we're going to do next. And we figured out Joya. And guess what? We ended up selling Rockwell. Joya opened at the same time. And we had Joya. We put everything into it. All our heart and soul into it. Amazing place. And as soon as it was up and running, we started looking, okay, what is next? Not because we needed more, but you got to be ready for the next step, because guess what? This happened. We didn't expect this to happen to Joya.
Especially under these circumstances where you were succeeding. No?
It's the most bizarre. Yeah. When ego and greed comes into play, people make emotional decisions. And that's what they did. And listen, they went from the most successful place in town to doing 30% of the business that we were doing.
In a matter of weeks, it played out.
2 weeks, done. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, we had already worked a deal at the One Hotel in South Beach. So we got the management deal for the beach club at the One Hotel, which we have currently. And at the same time, I've been working on a project in Vegas, which just opened 3 weeks ago.
That is super exciting. Tell us about that.
Yeah, it's called Ilia Beach Club in Virgin Hotel in Las Vegas.
That's why you was there to compete American National?
Exactly, yeah. Yeah.
And I saw you were there for the opening, right?
Yeah. So I go back and forth.
Is it seasonal? Do you guys open seasonal?
Seasonal.
When are you guys open, for people to know?
We open in March and close in October.
Oh, right before Worlds.
Yeah, right before Worlds.
It would have been good to have.
It would have been awesome. Maybe I have to do a private party.
We might.
But I was working on that actually for 2 years, because those projects take a long time.
So this was not, we thought it was just something that came up now.
No, it takes a long time.
Wow.
A lot of preparation, to build the place, to come up with the concept, to design it, to build it, to do it on time, to put the team together. It's a long process. So
it's a huge opportunity. Richard Branson's first hotel in Vegas.
Absolutely. And his biggest hotel.
His biggest hotel also. And he's an incredible entrepreneur, and the guy's doing amazing things.
He's everywhere.
How do you feel about that?
I feel it's incredible. I met him now for the opening. The guy's awesome. And, he brings a certain energy and aura with him that very few people do. That's the level he's at. And it's inspiring. It really is inspiring. When you see a guy like that, you're like, wow, I got to do better.
Mio, we have the words here, the gym, then the words then with the value of the gym.
Yeah.
And today we're going to select one of these words for you. Every single episode, we're going to select one of the words to you talk about. And man, it's great to know more about you, to know about where you came from, how you made this happen, how that's successful life. And the word that I have to you, and I want you to talk a little bit about that, is the discipline.
Discipline. Yeah. Discipline, I think, it's one of the most important things that you have in your life. Because without discipline, you you won't stick to your plan. You won't stick to your routine. You won't stick to your goals. So that's something that I grew up with. I think my parents instilled that in us, all of us, so my brother and my sisters, growing up. And that's helped me in life quite a bit. And I use that obviously with my other values, but I use that as it defines my routine. It defines me. My routine defines me. So I try to make sure that I try to rub off on others, especially people that work with me or work for me, that they get the same sort of discipline in all that they do.
And Mio, also I want to ask you, what do you have to say for somebody who maybe is listening to this podcast and don't have like the courage to start jiu-jitsu? You already started your 2 years already training. Yeah. And what do you have to say for this person?
I think it's a waste of time if you're debating. Just go. Let go and do it. I always say, oh man, I wish I started. I'm sure everybody that starts late says, oh, I wish I started when I was younger. I said that actually to Cyborg. And he goes, listen, man, it's all good. You started now. You look at all the other things you've done in life. So if you started earlier, maybe you wouldn't have done these other things. So it's okay, just enjoy the journey. And that stuck with me. I said, you know what? He's right. It's the journey that's fun. I mean, look at my most recent tournament. I'm in Vegas. I'm working. I'm having a bunch of meetings. And at some point I say, hey, excuse me, guys, I gotta go. I'll be back. And they're like, where are you going? I say, I gotta take care of something. I go, I put my backpack, I take my gi, I go to the tournament, I compete. I have an awesome time. Still very nervous, which I don't know why. I guess I put the pressure on myself.
Nah, but it's normal. Everyone. I have 11 years of experience, and when I compete, I'm still nervous.
Yeah. And I finished the tournament. I went back, showered, put my suit back on, and went back to meetings.
Like normal.
Yeah. And they're like, where'd you go? I said, I had to take care of something. No, but let's continue.
Keep going. So
that's very cool. It's an amazing journey. And to me, it's not just it's actually my only hobby, I would say, jiu-jitsu. It's I don't know. It's grown so much more than just a hobby. It's like it's becoming a part of me. Yeah, it's becoming a part of me. And I enjoy every moment of it. When I come here, even when I come here for open mat on Saturdays, I still get a little nervous. Oh, man, what's gonna happen? But what else can you do in life at this age, or what else can you do in life that gives you that excitement? I don't know. Like I can't go. Okay, I like go shooting guns. I like doing certain things, but it doesn't give you even remotely the same pleasure. Yeah. And I enjoy it so much, And I listen. I look at all the YouTube videos. I read all the BJJ World Champ curriculums, and I'm really having a great time. And the amount of the great people that I've met throughout fight sports is something special. I didn't believe it existed. I didn't believe this tight, great community existed in a place like Miami, and it took me by surprise.
It's almost like a cult.
It's incredible.
Insane. Like I feel the same as you. Like
even the way that we touch hands is different, right?
Yeah. The way we shake hands.
The way we shake everything. It's the culture is so thick. In not only in this gym, in jiu-jitsu, in a lot of academies, but like you said, right, in any industry, when you lead by example, like you do in your businesses, like Cyborg does here, and when you create that family environment where everybody's pushing towards the same objective, you get magic. You get something special. You get the magic that you had at Joya. You get the magic that you had at Rockwell. The magic that you have here at Fight Sports. Yeah. The magic that something like jiu-jitsu is able to give us. So. It's been awesome to have you, Mio. Like, what an honor.
Pleasure's all mine.
How cool to learn more about your story. We hope it's not the only time we have you.
I'm glad to come back whenever.
For more stories.
Yeah.
Maybe after the World Martial title in November.
I'd like
right?
that.
We'll fly. If we're there, we'll do a podcast after the.
We should do it.
After the tournament in Vegas with you.
Mm-hmm.
We can do it
with the gold medal on the table.
We'll do it on the venue with you, celebrating your gold medals, hopefully.
Thanks so much, Mio. One more time, man.
My pleasure.
A big pleasure. Thank you very much. Since from the beginning here, you always receive me with arms open, and I just have to say thank you to you. Thanks so much.
Pleasure's all mine, guys. Thank you very much.
Os, guys.
Appreciate it.
Os.